And hello there, YouTube. This is Dave coming to you from DQ Studios and Not So Ancient Chinese Secrets. And today, it's been a long time coming. I wanted to share with you my hack that I've created for creating the ultimate standing desk. And let me just make sure we are live here. And here we go. Now, what exactly is this and why does it matter and why have I created it? For those of you who don't know me, I'm a professional photographer by day and also just a super nerd by everything. And so for me, I actually thrive on just creating the best systems that I can find. And over many, many years, I've been refining my standing desk to be perfect, and not just perfect for me, but hopefully you can learn some stuff even if you don't want to create the same system that I have about ergonomics and what might be best for you as well. But first of all, I don't want to say that this is the only way you can do it, and I didn't start this way either because this isn't going to be inexpensive, all right? But there's a lot of different options that you have these days. And for example, let's take a look at this. If you just do a search for IKEA standing table or standing desk hack, there's a whole bunch of stuff that comes up. And this is where I started. It only costs about US $22. You buy a lac side table, you bolt a shelf on the side, and you put that on top of your existing work surface, and you've got a standing table of sorts. The problem is it's not really adjustable. Once you bolt on your shelf, all the different heights are permanent, all right? And what I found for the best ergonomics is that you want to have your independent adjustment for both your screen height as well as your keyboard height. Then we're going to take a look at my keyboard as well, because I do recommend that you do have a negative tilt, so that you make sure that your ergonomics are set properly for your keyboard, because you spend most of your time right here perched on your keyboard. But first of all, for those of you who are watching this live, I won't be able to see your comments, unfortunately, because I'm going to be using two different cameras to do this live. But please do put all your comments in the rebroadcast after I put this live on YouTube. And also note that all the links and tips and anything that I've forgotten here live will also be in links in the description, so make sure to hit that. And if you like geek stuff like this, consider subscribing to my channel. Cool. So let's get started. First off, what exactly are ideal ergonomics? And for every body type, it's going to be slightly different, but generally speaking, when you are at your computer, you want to make sure that your arm is about 90 degrees or a little bit lower as well. Okay? You don't want to go higher up like this or perch it like that. Okay? And then you want to say, they usually say that your screen should be arm's length away. Maybe my aging eyes, but I prefer to have my screen a little bit closer to me. So I use these little rubber feet and I push my screen a little bit more forward to me. But my eye level is about the top of the screen here, so I don't need to look up or I don't need to look down. But why, Dave, is this so important? Well, you would be surprised at what a difference literally 1 inch in height makes for the way that your body positions itself. Okay, so if I just lowered my screen 1 inch, I noticed that my shoulders would cave in and I'd actually start slouching. But when I rose my screen up just a little bit, my shoulders naturally went back and my head stayed upright better too. And so that's why having the ability to adjust everything independently of each other is really important. And we're going to talk about what gear I use to do it. And spoiler alert, I'm a photographer, so I had a lot of this stuff already around. So if you don't have any of this stuff, I do have links for everything in the description, but you could probably hack your way through it as well. But one of the most important things is that you do have the ability to adjust the height of everything independently, all right? So let's get started and take a look at what the basics are. First of all, you want to get the stand, all right? And the stand itself is going to be a rolling light stand that I had around. I have hardwood floors in my house, but even if you had carpet, they do lock as well. But it is great to be able to just roll it around as needed, and it's perfectly stable, which is nice. Now, this particular stand can go up to almost 11 feet tall. And so one of my buddies came over, and he's 6'5", and he already had a Very desk, and that's one of those expensive desks that you can sit or stand with. and it's kind of like hydraulics that let it go up and down. I think it's just a spring actually. But the problem is that they're fixed heights for the difference between the keyboard tray and the screen. So the problem was it wasn't tall enough for him in his standing position or seating position. And because it's not independently adjustable, the VariDesk wasn't perfect for his ergonomics. So when he came over here, he was going, wow, this is awesome. And so no matter how tall you are, this is going to accommodate you because it is such a tall stand. Now, if you're 4 foot nothing, it might be too tall. And so just make sure that you get a stand that is within the height that you want your screen height to be. All right? Now, for the platform here, I used this tether table Aero Traveler, and that fits my 15-inch MacBook Pro perfectly. Now, if you didn't want to get something as expensive as this, because it's not inexpensive, you could probably hack together something from Home Depot if you're handier than me. And with a wood platform, make sure you do have a really good solid joint here so that you don't drop your laptop. But I use the Tether Tools Aero Traveler for that. Now, because I am a photographer and do lots of video as well, then I also use a lot of hard drives. And so on the side of mine, I also bought the accessory, which allows us to put a couple of hard drives right inside, nice and clean. Now here's a really cool part. Now how do we get the keyboard to be mounted? There's two parts to that puzzle. One is going to be the super clamp that you see here, and the next part that goes into the super clamp is this 90-degree joint. Okay, it's the extension arm. So it's 6 inches long, right over here, and that allows me to put another tray here for my keyboard. And you could use even a shelf if you wanted or anything, but the platform I use is this tables platform here. Now, again, it's not inexpensive, but again, you can hack it for yourself. Now, here's a really good tip. Not only do you want your wrists to be neutral, but I want a negative tilt. And negative tilt means I don't need to go up like this and bend my wrists when I'm typing, okay? And so how do I get that negative tilt? I mounted a tilting monopod ball head, or not a ball head, sorry, tilting head, right to that extension arm. Let me get you a little bit closer so you can take a peek. And here we go. Let's take a peek here. So here we are. We've got the super clamp and we've got the extension arm here. And right over here is that tilt. And so you'll notice that my keyboard is resting backwards here so that my wrists are going to have a really very neutral angle to them. Now, you think, Dave, that's a little overkill, but you would be surprised at how much wrist pain there is when you just kink your wrist just a little bit up like this. Over hours and hours of typing, that adds up. And I found that when I created a negative tilt, because I didn't always have this here, I found that a lot of the pressure got relieved and I didn't have any more wrist pain. And so I'm an ergonomic freak, and that's pretty much why this came to be. Now let's talk a little bit more about this keyboard setup. This keyboard setup is a little bit unique here. Oh, sorry, that's hidden for you here. It's a split keyboard. Let's make sure I'm focused on that. Okay. Now the split keyboard allows me not to have really bunched up shoulders. And I'm not that thick a guy, a broad guy, but if you're, got wider shoulders, it's really painful to crowd both hands centrally to type. And I found that the split keyboard is a great way to alleviate that pain from having to crowd in, and it also lets you put your elbows by your side, resting naturally in that position. So I've got links to this freestyle keyboard, and I do prefer the USB version, even though I do have the Bluetooth version as well. And I do recommend what they call the VIP lifters. And the VIP lifters, they allow you to have this different angle here. Okay? And that angle, instead of making your wrists go like this and type flat, it allows me to rest my arms naturally to the side of my body and be perfectly positioned to type. So it's actually very, very comfortable. One last note, I do have a numeric keypad. It's also USB in the middle there. And so that's also really nice because I deal with a lot of numbers because I'm a self-employed geek. And so for any accounting and stuff like that, it's really handy to have. And to get these into the right position, what I've done is all I've made is, let me show you this. It's kind of geeky. All right, over there. Oh, it's hard to see here. How do I show you this? This piece here is just old exercise mats that I had that I glued together and cut so I could have my Magic Trackpad and my numeric keyboard at the right angles and the right height between my two split keyboards. So that's my Ergo keyboard right there. So negative tilt, spreading the keyboard out so your hands are at a natural position beside your body, and adding that numeric keypad in the center have really helped. You wouldn't believe it. Now, let's go a little bit further and talk about some other little details. Oh, spoiler alert too, I did buy the cup holder. I don't recommend it from Tether Tools because it's too small. It only fits a very narrow water bottle, so I just end up putting a little bit of junk in there. Now, the other thing that I don't really like is Tether Tools also sells this mat, which you can tell is kind of ripped now. So just put a piece of shelf liner on there, you'll be fine. Don't buy that. Now, one thing that I do miss is having enough USB connections. And so you'll look down here, and I've got an Anchor USB hub, and it's non-powered, which is nice, so less cables. And so do make sure you use the link, because I found, and I had to return other Anchor USB hubs that actually didn't work with my favorite hard drives, which are Western Digital 2 terabyte Ultra Travel hard drives. So this one does. I've plugged in 2 different hard drives. I can use them both simultaneously, and it works perfectly. Just be sure that you plug both of them in before you plug the hub into your computer. That way there is no surge of energy that needs to be drawn from one hard drive, destroying your other hard drive. Okay, so that's a great thing. And let's go right down to the bottom here and take a look at how I power this whole system. And that's with just this tied down. It's a 3 grounded outlets, and I do have a link to this exact one because it is a flat cord and it's 15 feet. So it's actually really nice and clean. These extra cables, these are actually usually never here. This is just because I'm tethering and broadcasting live from the keyboard that you're seeing there. And so that's the major setup. So nice and simple, and it's very functional. I'm going to switch back to the camera here for a sec. Now, let's take a peek here, and I'm going to show you guys a couple other things too. Now, we talked about the cable, we talked about the split keyboard, the VIP lifters which angled it for me, the numeric keypad, the USB, cable buddies. And cable buddies are just cord wraps. I love these things. I've given them as gifts. I have hundreds of them around the house, and they're great for just keeping your cords tidy. And this one, my Apple power cord, is just hanging on the side here. And again, usually the only 2 power cables you'll see is my Apple power cable hanging here and the one extension cord going to the wall. It's 15 feet long. Now the other cables that you see hanging off are because I've got a wireless mic hanging off here, I've got a USB going to my Blackmagic web presenter, blah, blah, blah. So don't mind the mess, sorry about that. Now here's something interesting too, the silicone rubber, that's just to rest my screen here because I prefer to have my screen closer, like I said, than arm's length. I might be getting old, or it might be because I deal with images all day long that I need to have a little bit better sight lines for that too. And after this, aha! Not so ancient Chinese secret tip here. I know that some people buy standing mats for like $100, and I think that's like the worst money you can blow because a standing mat makes you stand in one exact position, right? But why don't you just cut the mat up and tape them to your foot? That's what sandals are for, right? That's exactly what they are. And I have found no better sandal than this one here. This is the Adidas Super Cloud. And these ones are newer versions, but I don't like them as much because they're not quite flat. They're actually molded and they have a little bit of an arch. The Super Clouds are perfect for barefoot people like me. I run barefoot, I love being barefoot, and I like to use my own feet to grab the floor, not molded arches, okay? So get a pair of these, and it's amazing how much longer you can stand without pain, all right? And so, actually, I guess I didn't show you here, but as far as the arm positions are concerned, remember when I was talking about the ergonomics of the keyboard? You don't want to have your wrists up like this to type. You want them down like this, and that's exactly how I can type on this keyboard. And the other thing, the negative tilt is awesome, but the other thing is the split keyboard. If it wasn't split, I'm not sure how I can show you this. Your arms wouldn't rest naturally down to your sides like this. They'd actually crowd into the center here, right? But I can share the load, switch trackpad hands as I wish. I'm left-handed, but if you're right-handed, it works equally well. That's why on laptops, the trackpad's right in the center. We might as well do that with our real keyboards. And it'll take a while to get used to the split keyboard, but once you do, it's amazingly freeing to type on a split keyboard. And because you're at a natural position, it's awesome. So that's about it. I do have links everywhere. It's just bit.ly/DQ stand desk. And again, if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments after the rebroadcast goes live. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing if you like geek stuff like this. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.